What is up? Welcome back. Welcome to Hear Me Out Podcast.
Hear me out.
So basically, this is a podcast with Drew, Billy, and Drage. We all are social media influencers, and we are going to be telling you guys about a bunch of just different stuff.
Just like our crazy life, like what goes on. I love it. I think it's so weird, like how we actually met, because like, we met at VidCon, which is like a social like influencer thing, and we're like really awkward.
Oh yeah, Drage is at VidCon too. Yeah.
I met you with Danny.
Yeah.
And I like walked up and I was like, let's do a backflip. And then that's when you did your side flip. And that's like when I first figured out you could like really flip.
Oh,
you remember that?
Oh.
You want to know something really funny?
Yeah.
Like, that's the first day I ever met Danny.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So I was with this kid named Paulo.
Yeah.
And Paulo he's a G when it comes to like getting into anywhere. It's the weirdest thing ever. Like, he gets us into the weirdest thing. Anyways, we were walking around in VidCon and Danny ran into Billy. And like, no offense, Billy, but like, you were really obnoxious right off the bat. And
Yeah,
I was like,
not the first person to say that.
I was like, am I going to like this dude? Like, this guy's kind of crazy. But, I mean, hopefully I like you. I mean,
give it a bit. You'll learn to hate me.
Yeah. But yeah, then I met up with you guys. We talked for literally probably 30 seconds. Then we left.
I think that right before you did the thing where you backed up into the pond with the camera.
Oh my
on your shoulder?
gosh.
That was literally within the time frame that we met.
Wait, that was you?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I saw the video. I did not know that was you with a full size camera.
Yeah.
right into the water.
Oh my
And that
God.
was a real camera too, right?
Yeah.
Did it actually work, or did you just like was it
so
like
it
broken?
worked, but it's like it was a film it was a beta cam, so it like went off like film and
Did
stuff.
you have to explain that to your parents? Hey, mom, dad, can I borrow the $1 million camera that we have?
Yeah.
By the way, I dropped it in a pond.
I have an idea. Could get you literally hundreds of 50s of likes. They're like, is that equate to money? No, super doesn't.
It was so funny. It was literally, I sent that hardcore, and like when I fell, the security guard like ran right up to me, and I was like, I'm gonna get kicked out.
You see it in the video? He just ran.
Didn't say a word. Just sprints out of there.
I
Nothing
bolted.
suspicious about that at
I was
all.
like, no, thank you. And then Paulo ended up telling me that the security guard just wanted to take me to the medical center to like get all checked out to make sure I was okay.
I think it's crazy too, like, how we got into these certain places in VidCon. Remember that girl helped us get into the craziest connections? Like, we never had connections to go to like the Hyatt where like David, Casey, Neistat, everyone was. We just got like these wristbands handed to us, and they're like, hey, like it's at the Hyatt, and I had no idea it was at the Hyatt, but that's where everyone was. So the first thing we do when we walk in is we see like Casey Neistat, David Dobrik, and the whole crew, and we're like, where are we, and how did we get in here?
I've never felt less like belonging to a place. Like I felt so uninvited. It was the weirdest.
That's like how it was with, but Paulo, like, I don't know this kid, like, so I know this kid. I don't know how this kid.
I don't know him. I know him.
I don't know how this kid gets into places. Like, he is a straight up G when it comes to like getting into anywhere. Like,
You said G twice. I wonder if he's like an actual G face. Like his face is a G.
Whoa.
I mean,
it's
maybe.
just a skin lie over a G.
No, but
what if he's just one of those kids? You know how like people they can sneak into concerts and stuff just because they're like way too confident. Like they'll walk in and they'll kind of nod at the security guard, and the security guard will be like, "Wait, do I know this person?"
He could even say the wrong name. Jerry? He's like, no, it's Greg. All right, see you, man. And just walk in and be fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What were you saying? Yeah, go on.
no, but yeah, that kid just got me into everything. He got me into the Hyatt, and like he was just like, oh, just wait, and goes up to the Studio 71 guys, and he's like, okay, here, and gave me like a pass to the Hyatt. I'm like in the Hyatt. Just in the room with the top YouTubers. David, like, it's a room no bigger than, like, the room that we're in. Okay.
We're in my bedroom.
Just shoulder to shoulder.
It's probably like a 50 foot by 50 foot room. And it's David Dobrik, his whole group. I don't think.
There's a lot of, like
the
big
Funk Bros, like,
there. Yes.
everyone was in there. And I was like, okay, I've done stuff with Corey and Capron. I know them a little bit. So I'll go up and like talk to them, and like first thing Capron said was like, "How the heck are you in here?" Like it was the weirdest place to be. Like,
did he know you before?
Yeah. So
okay.
I did stuff with Capron like two and a half years.
You guys
ago.
did Bouncy House or something like that, right?
I just like randomly like talked to Capron. I'm like, "Hey, you want to do a video?" And then he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Sweet." And then I don't know.
Wait, can we talk about how like you're dropping this Paulo dude's name? How he was like super connected and stuff. And maybe at that point like you weren't. You super are now. Like, you're our Paulo. Like,
Dude, you showed me your contacts here today, and he was just, like, showing me, like, Tanner Fox, like, David... Like, all... Ellen. I'm like, where do you get these numbers?
Like when you were at that baseball game, you just walked up to Post Malone, you're like, hey, what's up? Like, we're friends now, probably. And the dude's like, yeah, sure.
Post Malone is just like this super old guy now. Like,
that's like, yeah, sure. It's the coolest thing though with like what we do. So if you guys don't know, we do a ton of social media. Our Instagrams will all be in the description below, but it's just our names, Drew, Drage, and Billy. Billy's is Billy, or his man Billy, because some guy that's a music director that
country
does
music producer.
Oh, makes you probably hate country music now just because of that.
Yeah, just because.
I did before.
I'm over it now.
Look us up.
I'm into R&B opera.
We'll tag it. You can see it right in the bottom corner of the
Man
audio
Billy, Drew
waveform.
And of course me, Drage Cameraman. Anyways, I don't even remember what we were talking about. I think we were talking about contacts. I don't know what it is either, but like when I did that video with Corey and Capron, I just had seen them go to Jake Paul's house, and I'm like, they went to Jake Paul's house? I mean, why don't I go and try to get his number? And I literally went to his house, knocked on his door.
Like uninvited?
Jake's. You went to Jake's house.
Yeah, the Team
Why?
10 house. Because I wanted his contacts so that
So
I
you
could
just
do a
walked
video.
up to
You
his
know who
front
else
door.
does that? Crazy people. Hey, I just want to go to this person's house. So I went.
Anyways, I went, knocked on the door, and he didn't answer.
Who answered?
No one did.
That's the worst story I've ever heard.
Yeah, no,
There's more to it.
There's more to it. He didn't answer, so I sat in the car for 10 more minutes, and then
Okay,
he came
is 10
outside.
minutes like...
10 minutes is like 35.
I know, it is exactly 35.
That's
But
so
anyways,
weird. You know,
the
weird.
end of the story is he walked out, and I was like, no, wait, is that Jake Paul? Like, Jake Paul just walked out of his house. I'm not going to go walk up to him and ask him for his number straight up.
Yeah,
So-
because no one would. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
So basically, I just walked up and was like, hey, Jake, I don't know if you have ever seen me, but I did a Bounce House video with Corey and Capron Funk. And he's like, no way, you're the Bounce House kid? Like, I would
No
what?
way.
And I was just like,
Did you just melt when he said that?
I would have melted.
I was like, there's no way. He's like, you're the blow up kid. Like, I'm like, blow up? Did you just say that because I'm fat? Or like,
That's
and-
always going to be your go-to.
I know,
You're
right?
going to like lose all this weight and just be crazy skinny and buff, and you're still going to go to the fat things. And people are like, are
Is it
you
because I'm
making fun of
fat?
fat people?
It was so funny. But anyways, yeah, he was super chill, got his number, and we set up this date for this video that I did. And we're like getting closer and closer to the date, and then I think someone in his group like did a prank on him and like released his number or something to the public, or his Instagram got hacked, and so his phone just started blowing up, so he got a whole new number, and this whole video that I was planning on doing with him just like died. It was like, okay,
Oh my gosh.
I'm never gonna be able to get his contact again. Like, that was so rare. And so then
I remember that. I know, just super quick. I got his number from Twitter. He like messaged his number, and this like literally the day after I got his number, he's like, "Dude, let's hang out when you get off tour." The day after he changed his phone, like his phone got like hacked, like you said, and
The
I
whole
lost
thing
his
came-
number. Everything.
I mean, you want his number back? Because
I'm not gonna say no, but
Anyway.
I'm not gonna write out a sticky note, and put it on the fridge downstairs.
And I'm going to be in the room and kind of position myself so I could get it.
Yeah, so like his number, I didn't have it anymore, and I needed to film this video with him because we had it all set up for the 4th of July. It was like I think it was probably the 20th of the month before July. What month is that?
I don't
May,
know.
June. It's June.
We all forget. We're like, come on,
I'm like
Drage,
counting
it's,
fingers. I'm like, oh, May, June, 6, 7.
Hold on, let me start from the beginning. A, B, C. Wait, January, February.
So if you guys thought the first thing was like weird, just waiting at the house, this next time I went to his house, because I needed his number to get it back, I was like, I need his new number because I'm in the middle of like trying to set this up and I'm not gonna lose this. There's probably 50 fans out front because his house used to be flooded with fans.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I just was like, I'm not gonna wait. Like, I'm not waiting any longer. I waited for 10 minutes, and this was like an actual 10 minutes, and I was like, this is dumb. I'm just gonna go up, knock on his door, and just
2 hours
keep
later.
knocking until someone answers. And so I just kept on knocking, and
The story's giving me a stomach ache. On
and finally, like some like Asian girl answered, and someone I had never seen. I was like, so this is gonna sound really weird, but I have a video set up with Jake pretty soon. Is there any way you can give me his number again? Because I lost it. I can show you my phone. She's like, I'm not giving you his number.
Yeah, she
I'm
probably
like,
did
the
not
equivalent
believe
of
you at
being
all.
in jail, being like, I promise I didn't do it. I'm innocent.
it was so gnarly. But anyways, the final thing was, I'm like, okay, just take my phone, give it to Jake. He can either accept the fact that he knows me and give me his number or not. And she like grabbed it and kind of pissed off and was like, fine, and like walked inside. I was just waiting, and like 20 minutes later she walks out and she's like, He just texted you. You're good. I'm like,
oh my
what?
gosh.
I'm like, sweet. Okay, see ya. So
That is insane.
Yeah, that was like.
She just goes through all your contacts and just like changes them all to Greg. And you're like, what?
It's like,
Jake's dad.
Greg, dude.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's so crazy, like, the whole stuff with Corey and Capron. Like, I remember, like, when we went to VidCon, and, like, I used to watch the Funk Bros vlogs when I was on tour. I used to watch, like, David, Jake, and the Funk Bros. And so I remember, Billy, you and me were walking, and after, because I knew Danny from the Funk Bros vlogs, and we got into that.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I just knew him from Snapchat stuff.
Oh, yeah, because you guys did Snapchat
yeah,
stuff
we had
together.
known each other from before, but just from Snapchat stuff.
Exactly. And so, like, I remember being like, oh, like, he's part of the Funk Bros vlog. And then we somehow got into, like, the Hyatt where, like, every famous person was. And I remember being like, oh, there's Corey. And I was too scared to ask. So you
I didn't
were like,
know who they
yeah,
were.
You had
I
no
had
idea.
no idea who they were.
So you just walked me up there and were like, hey, like, we just started chatting. And I remember, like, the first thing I wanted to do, like, I have to do something that's obviously going to get, like, Corey's attention to think I'm, like, anything worth talking to. So I was like, let's do a backflip right now. Think about it. This room is, like, the size of my bedroom. Everyone's, like, elbow to elbow. So we moved back, like, the clothing rack or whatever was there. And we, like, pushed back, like, 10 people. And we just send backflips in the middle of, like, this party. And after he's like, yeah, you're cool, man. Here's my number. And I remember, like, yes, like, that was so sick. And then, like, literally that night we like met up at the Studio 71 party, and Corey was like drinking Sprite because he doesn't drink alcohol, and we like joked about that. And then that night we all became like best friends, went out to Denny's till like 4 a.m. You remember that?
Oh my gosh,
Dude.
that was the funniest thing ever, because Corey is like the type of person that acts drunk when he's
Exactly.
around a bunch of drunk people.
But he's the most sober one in the room.
It was so funny because I was sober. I'm Mormon, so I don't drink at all. And I was dying because you guys were talking to the waiters about the weirdest stuff. And I was
we were just
like,
gone.
Please,
Like-
please kill me now. I do not want to deal with this.
That was so weird. Like 100% honesty, when we were at Denny's doing that whole dinner thing, like when we had met Corey and Capron, I saw Capron for maybe 5 seconds, and then
Yeah,
like,
we
most
barely
of
got
our
to meet
thing.
Capron.
You're right. It was with Corey. We would go to Denny's. We're doing that whole thing. He's like flipping cones and stuff in the middle of the street. I was like, this guy's way too intense for me. Like, I'm not really about this whole vibe. Like, he seems important to Drew, and like Drage seems like a nice dude. Like, I don't know who any of these people are, nor do I care. Like, I was just kind of enjoying the ride. Like, I was so tired. We were just walking around. I'm like, all right, like, this is whatever. It's gonna be fine. And then, like, a week or so after VidCon, you texted me. We're back home. I was back in Utah. I was living there at the time. You were back in Ohio, and you messaged me. You're like, dude, you're never gonna believe this. Corey invited us over to the house to hang out.
Like, just stay there for like a week.
Yeah, and literally my reaction, I mean, like, before I texted you, I was like, so?
And I was just
Who
like
cares?
so hyped on it.
Yeah, you were
because,
so
like,
stoked.
He after that night, I got a text, and I don't remember like what happened towards the end of the night because we had been drinking that night. And literally, I woke up the next morning, and Corey, I got a message from him that just said, "Hey, your family, you're welcome anytime. When can you come over?" And then I was just like,
So
"Hey,
cool.
like, does like." I was just been throwing out, "Hey, can we come like next week or something?" Blah blah. He's like, "Yes, come, stay at the house." Blah blah. So I remember just calling you, being like, "What the frick? Where's the?"
Well, the only reason I decided to go with you is because I'd done a similar thing to go to Utah. Like, I
Yeah.
just met that random YouTuber out there, made him laugh, and he was like, you should move to Utah. And I was like, you seem cool enough. I'd never seen any of his stuff. I was like, just seems like a nice guy, and moved out to Utah. So you were like, oh, we should stay at the Funk Bros house. I was like, okay.
And I think it's like so crazy to kind of cut where we are now. We literally like lived here. We were moved like across like all states, which is like, by the way, Drage, I want you to talk about this, like, because you are like the one who like made happen Billy moving out here and me moving out here.
Let's just scoot back, like maybe that week that you guys were hanging out with him. So back up a tiny bit. I was like trying to figure out my way into the Funk Bros house because I knew that they were super cool and I liked hanging out with them, and I was like, I also want to lose weight, and I know that Corey's like super driven to help anyone with anything. Hold on, I just thought of one thing that was from that one night at the Studio 71 party. Corey was running down the stairs, and you know those light poles that were in the hallway of like the mall?
Oh yeah.
He like jumped sideways on it to like grab it and spin around the whole thing, and just totally missed it.
It just completely ate it.
Yes.
Oh
And that
my
was
gosh.
my favorite part of the whole night. Anyways, we can fast forward back to what I was saying. But so that one night at Tempest, the first time I think I met you guys after the fact, after we had gone to, after we had done all that, I was like trying to figure out how to like go and hang out with Funk Bros more because I'd done stuff with Capron, not as much with Corey. So I started talking to Corey. I'm like, sweet, yeah. can I come out to your house anytime soon? And he's like, yeah, come out. You can like stay with us a bunch and like we'll help you lose weight. I'm like, that's sick. And then you guys came out and he goes, don't come out anymore. Just wait until these two leave because we
ruined it for him.
Oh my gosh. I think this is so cool to hear the other side because I've never heard the other side of this.
They're like, we don't want that many people in the house. We don't want you and them in the house.
Whoops.
Like,
we're hearing this for the first time, so I'm like,
he's been holding this in this entire time. He's like planning some revenge thing.
Anyways, and he was like, I like kept on texting Corey that week, and you guys ended up staying like an extra week, I think, right? Or
yeah, we ended up. I think we
was
that when we bought a one way.
No, the second time.
The second time
maybe
we
that
bought
was
a one
the
way.
second time. But anyways, one of the times, and he's like, sorry, man, like I want you to come out, but these guys like they're kind of overstaying their welcome, but
no way!
But they're still here, and like. But I just don't want you out here with them. Sorry.
Yeah, I can kind of feel that, the awkwardness.
Yeah.
Like, you know when you're at, like, a friend's house for a little bit too long and they kind of, like, get their mom to say, like, you're excused. Like,
I know. It was also so
like
fun,
that.
though, that we didn't want to leave. Like, every day was the most insane day.
Anyways, I hope you guys know that, like, I wasn't allowed to come because you guys were here.
Oh, my gosh. Like, so worth it?
That was, like, that's the weirdest thing to think back on now. And, like...
That is so weird.
Like...
Whoa.
But, like...
And it leads to this.
Yeah.
It's so because like if it had gone any differently, like this would all be.
Can you guys
right now.
can you guys both pinpoint one moment that like changed your life and made you like in this situation right now?
6 of those.
Like just pick one because I have one that I want to share too.
You go first, Billy.
Hurting my knee. That led to like everything changing. Like. When I was like competing in skiing and like just going all over, and that was literally like that was.
Well, gonna explain what you were. You were a professional skier sponsored by Red Bull.
No,
but or not by Red Bull.
Oakley, right?
Oakley, Head, Dalbell, like all the like skis, boots, helmet, shop, all that stuff to go like travel and compete in half pipe skiing, and like I was going to school part time for engineering, which was like. Like the more skiing like took off, the more boring classes seemed. But I could do classes and be like, all right, I'm gonna go skiing like in a couple months. It's all good. And then I blew my knee at the Olympic qualifier, so I was like, oh, I gotta go back to school full time. This will be fine. And it sucked. I like hated it so much. So I like graduated and I was like, I really don't want to do that. Then I just started like doing stand up and all that stuff. But if I hadn't hurt my knee, I would just still try to be competing in skiing. Like. Wouldn't have met all you guys, anything like that.
Wow.
That's so crazy. And by the way, you guys, I said Red Bull because Billy is sponsored by Red Bull for content creation right now.
Which
and
is insane. Like no one like really has
and
that.
And that's the thing. When they reached out to me and stuff, they didn't know that I was a skier at all. Like that was my dream sponsor when I was skiing was like Red Bull. Like the people would come up with the helmets and I would just like get so stoked that they were there.
Just
like,
ruin pants every time you saw them.
Yeah, exactly. They'd be like, oh. But then they like reached out for like comedic content creation and I showed them like the ski videos like, oh wow, you were like you should have been sponsored, like jokingly, and I was like, I wanted to be. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, so
what is
so
it for you guys?
I wasn't messing up when I said Red Bull. He is sponsored by Red Bull right now.
You're like making sure people don't think that you messed it up.
I was like, well, I said Red Bull, and then I'm like, oh wait, no, that wasn't for skiing. That's for something way different.
It's for shadow puppetry.
What is your story? I want to hear yours.
So
you were very keen on this.
Okay,
so I want to
so
know.
Yeah.
when like 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago now, there was one night where I was going to Tempest for like the second time, and my friend was like, these Funk Bro guys are literally huge. They have 2 million followers, and they're just giant. And me and my friend were both just brand new to YouTube, and I was like, the only reason I was doing it was to try to beat him and be better than him. And I just started like blowing up.
I think that's like the craziest thing. Just all you want to do is beat him.
Well, he like was like, hey, I think I'm gonna start YouTube. I'm like, bro, you're a good kid. And
is it the kid with the blonde hair?
No.
Who is it? Who's the one that you started it with?
Cade. He's got like
the guy with the
mustache or the
does that with Heath, right?
Yeah, no.
Fishing.
That's Connor. That's different.
Oh, it's Connor. Okay.
So there's
I had
Connor
my names so mixed up.
Cade, you've met at Tempest only.
No, I'm just joking.
But anyways, he was like, I'm gonna start creating content. I'm like, okay, do that. I don't think you have an amazing personality for like YouTube or anything, but do it.
You said that?
Yeah, and so
awful.
So I'm like, but just to show you that I'm better than you, I'll do it too. And so we both started it, and he like blew up He blew up as in he got 400 followers, and I couldn't get past 43. I was like, I just want 44 followers. Or I was on 42, not to correct myself by one, but it was like a big like step to try to get past this one. Anyways, we met Jordan and Jeremy Bow, and my friend was like, those guys are huge. They have 200,000 followers.
Did you know them at the time?
I had no idea. I had never watched any YouTube. Like, I was always like, for me being so fat, I was always like doing sports. Like,
You're the most okay. Like, wait, give them like like how do you like? Are you comfortable telling them like how much you at your like heaviest? What were you at?
Yeah, what was the heaviest you were? Because you did a full at your heaviest, right?
370 is about my heaviest. Yeah, I think that's when I landed.
And you were doing like backflips and folds and like walking on walls.
The like
the
Cirque du Soleil, like trampoline on your back, walk up the side of a wall kind of thing.
Unheard of for people at like that weight.
No, weight and height. How tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
You're a giant.
You are a walking giant.
A walking giant. You're a human genius. Like,
yeah. So, but like basically, you would think that I was just like a person that sat and like played video games. Nothing against video games or anything, but just the fact that the way I look, people didn't ever think that I would be like out. So they like were like, "Oh, you probably watched YouTube and stuff," but no, not at all. Don't know any of the guys.
Kind of kid.
Like, couldn't point out anyone until like I've started doing YouTube. Anyways, I meet Jeremy and Jordan Bow. They love us right off the bat, and they're like, "Yeah, let's do a video together." The next day we do a video, and it was when the 1,000-degree knives were popular.
Oh, I remember that.
And like you cutting through stuff slow, and I'm like, "You guys, we should do a 1,000-degree hammer and just get a bunch of stuff and just start hitting it as hard as we can." We did that video. It did really good on Jordan's
What'd it get?
channel. I don't know, probably like 100,000 views.
That's a lot of views.
But that's like a decent amount for like
for some stranger to come to his channel with an idea and have it pop off.
Yeah,
like, that's pretty sweet.
And he was like, I was the only one that was hitting stuff because there was like whipped cream going everywhere, like everything. I was getting so destroyed by just all these different food items. And at the end, Jordan gave me the biggest plug ever. And he's like, everyone go down, follow Drage, he is the man. And I kind of felt bad because
in
my
your head
friend,
you're like, I won.
I won. Yeah, my friend was standing right there, and he's like, and he had already gotten a plug earlier for letting Jordan drive with him in his R8.
Oh
so,
my gosh.
Like, we both got plugs, and then that next day, I like jumped to like 500 followers, and I was like, "No way!"
That's probably the coolest feeling you probably could ever.
And then like that sparked like the
drive
movement.
and everything.
But that wasn't even the story that I was gonna tell. But that story is pretty good.
This goes on for this hour-long story that's
I know. I don't even know why I told that story.
He leads us down this whole path, and we're like, "Oh wow!" Like I cried a little, and he's like, "But that wasn't the story." It's like, what?
The story was like Jordan Bow took us to Tempest for the first time. We didn't know that you could get into Tempest just being anyone. We thought you had to be like a YouTuber to get in.
Yeah.
He takes us. My friend tells me about these Funk Bro kids that like are huge too. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't really care. Don't know who these guys are. But if I see them, I'm gonna ask them for their number so I can do a video with them because that's just like
how
my
is that like a normal
Drage.
thing you do?
It's just something
What
you
the
gotta
heck?
do.
I try to like hide inside my own face rather than like ask some stranger that I know is famous for their number.
It was so funny. But anyways, the next time Corey and Capron came to Tempest, I heard that they were going to be there. Jordan was like, Corey and Capron are going to be there if you want to talk to them. Tonight's the night. Anyways, my dad's a super big stickler on dumb things. Like, you didn't shut the cabinet, you're grounded from going to something. You
No way.
Yeah. And so I didn't bring in the trash cans on time. I'm on my way to Tempest. He calls me and he says, get back here. You didn't bring in the trash cans. You can't go.
No.
And I'm
no
like,
way.
Dad, you don't understand how important this is right now. I have to go. He's like, come back home. So I went back home and I'm begging my dad for probably an hour. Tempest is 3 hours long. And for the first hour, I'm begging him to go. And he's like, no. And you know where you get your parents to that point where they're just like so pissed at you that they're like, fine, go. If you really want to disrespect me, leave.
And you're like, okay.
That's what happened. It got to that point, and he's like, go if you really want to. And I'm like, that's my cue to go. Like, I just jumped in the car and started driving. Got to Tempest, got out of the car. Capron was there. I walked in. Hey, do you want to do a video with me? I've got a bounce house company. I would love to fill it with Orbeez. We could do something sick. He said yes. I'm like, can I get your number? Got his number, walked out, drove home. So that I
How long were you there? Like
no
5 minutes?
way.
Maybe 10 minutes I was there. It's
Dude,
an hour
your stories
drive.
need like theme music. When you're like, I walked in, I started driving. What the heck?
That's
Yeah.
insane.
But
And
it's
that's like sparked everything.
Yeah, and that's why our friendship was so good. Like, not that exact reason, but that's the only reason why we started being friends, is because I did that one video. We went and I filled the bounce house with Orbeez, and then they wanted to do an overnight challenge, and so I like spent the night at the Funk Bros house the first night I was there. I was like,
Wow.
this is sick.
Well, can we talk about how many views and like what did it get? Like, what did this video get?
I mean, I think that was when their videos were popping off. I think that video like helped them pop off a ton. I think in 2 hours it got 375,000 views.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so funny watching Capron, because Capron was like, Dad, the video just jumped to 300,000
Wow.
views in like
What'd
3
that feel
hours.
like from
And
being
I was
like
just
kind of like from your perspective, like
I was-
watching them freak out to their
oh
parents?
my gosh, I was so confused, because I was like, no, these guys are the biggest apparently. Like, how are they? Like, this is when the Funk Bros were bigger than Jake Paul.
Whoa.
Like that's insane. And they were freaking out. The video ended up hitting like 4 million views.
Wow.
And then the video right after this, the sleeping. Oh, and Capron gave me a fat plug on that video. Within the first 3 minutes of
Are
the
you
video.
saying fat plug?
No, not because I'm
Oh,
fat,
okay.
Bill.
No,
It's
I'm just
straight,
trying to
just-
keep the story straight. I don't know. No.
No, yeah, Capron gave me the biggest plug. And, like right when I showed up, like I pulled up in the car, and like I think within, not that I've totally checked, within the first 2 minutes and 43 seconds of the video, he had put my name on the screen and in the description, and
way.
told all of his followers to go check me out. And that day I grew from 500 followers to 4,600.
Oh my gosh.
over 2 hours. And
That is insane.
All my friends just kept on calling me, do you understand what you're doing? And like from then on, I just like decided to do daily vlogs for YouTube for about a month. And then I grew up to 15,000 subscribers on YouTube and moved out to Utah because I had to lose weight to go on my mission for my church. And my uncle's like, I know you really like YouTube, but YouTube's not allowed in my house and you're living with me, so you can't do that, because he is a part of an extremely wealthy family, and he's
He's a
super
really private guy.
super scared
Super
about anyone knowing about his kids and all that stuff. And so I respect.
What's their socials?
They don't have any.
Where do they live
What?
exactly?
Yeah, if you look his name up on the internet, you won't be able to find out anything about
I'm
him.
so curious now.
That's the most James
yeah,
Bond
it's
answer
crazy.
I've ever heard.
Like they're really
don't
good about
exist.
staying private, and like, anyways, but that like was kind of the story like spark.
What the
Wow.
heck?
Corey and Capron, like I didn't meet Corey probably for 6 months after that. Like it was weird. I had never met Corey until like
That's kind of how it was for Capron. Capron was like when we met him, we
It's
only
the
met him
same with me
briefly
too,
at
yeah.
VidCon, and then when we were here the first couple times, he was in that gaming
He
mode.
was
so
super
he was-
immersed in a game,
Yes,
yeah.
we never got to really see him. He would, hey, bye, kind of like one of those
Yeah.
things.
It's actually only as of recently that we've really gotten to connect with Capron.
And it's crazy because he's like the sweetest, nicest.
Big old sweetheart.
I just want to hug him every time I see him. Is that a horn?
Is that Capron?
We're like in my room right now, so we hear every sound outside.
Yeah. You can hear the fan like.
Yeah, I
Wait,
love
okay,
that.
so what's your story, Drew?
So like the craziest like ever happened was probably the band stuff, because I was in high school, like I saw the Naked Brothers band and I got obsessed with it. Like the
You saw
Nickelodeon
Naked Brothers.
I saw Naked Brothers.
That's
No,
not-
it was the
I thought this
Nickelodeon
was supposed
show.
to be PG-13.
It was the Nickelodeon show, Naked Brothers band, and I was obsessed with it. And I was like, I want to start a band, because I was like, my grandma like taught me piano when I was younger. I learned guitar just because I was like obsessed with instruments.
This is in high school then?
and this was like sixth grade when I saw it. It was like
Okay.
when it was at its biggest, and I want to start a band. So from like sixth grade till 11th grade, I started this band with my best friends, and we became like pretty big in our hometown, and we would like release a couple songs, and I got to my senior year in high school. My parents were pretty much like, hey, like it's time to go get a real job. It's time to like this band stuff. It's just not going to work. And I was determined like, hey, like I'm going to be a rock star. And I mean, like telling that to your parents is like the most absurd thing. They're like, no way, that's not possible. And literally like not 3 days after that, they pretty much came to the conclusion. They were like, hey, you need to go get a job. Like this is over. Not 3 days later, the manager of a band called the Vamps reached out and was like, hey, we're looking to make this band. Will you fly out to LA and try out for it? And within a 2-week span, I flew out to LA, got the part, and they were like, hey, you're going on tour. Your first show is in front of 10,000 people in the United Kingdom. Like, are you ready? And I remember just like freaking out. And I remember like the day the band released, they were like, hey, we're announcing it. I went from like 1,000 followers on Instagram to like 15,000 followers. And I mean, this was in like an hour or two. So I remember like waking up to my notifications going off, like just like it was just like, insane. And I was freaking out.
That's so cool.
I mean, it was like thousands, Twitter, Instagram, like I didn't have Facebook, but like everything was going
Instagram,
off. It was like thousands of followers and like pouring in, and anything you post was blowing up. Hey, just ate a hot dog, 10 like 1,000 likes or something crazy. Like it was absurd. And then we went and played our first show in the United Kingdom in front of 10,000 people, and I remember just getting up on stage like about to crap my pants. And we did this whole tour. We went right into a world tour where we performed the entire world, and we gained like, I think by the end of the tour we all had like over 100,000 followers, and it was like within a couple months we went from like being nobodies to like these humongous, like we had traveled the world. We weren't even allowed to like I remember being in the Philippines, and like we weren't allowed to use the restroom without bodyguards.
What?
We got to the Philippines, and there was 4,000 people in the airport there to see us, and they had to, when we got in the cars
to
after
see you specifically?
Yeah, well, to see like the group. What? And I remember like we had to hop into a police car, and they split the highway in half in the Philippines, and we drove it was like some straight out of a movie thing all the way to the show.
That's so
like
cool.
There's so many stories that we can get into it later.
These stories are awesome. We haven't heard
No,
any
you
of
guys
these.
have never heard the band stories, but like that's just a kind of a brief, like that's how I got my social presence, is just overnight blew up of like being a musician and just doing whatever we wanted. And like that's what kind of sparked, I mean, once the band started to die down several years later, I sustained that following, and that following was what's like allowed me to give leverage to like work with some of these people. And I was like, I really want to get into social media. I remember on our last tour is when I got obsessed with like the Funk Bros, Jake Paul, Logan, like David, because there was nothing to do on like planes, tour buses, except watch videos. So that's where I would watch like everyone's stuff. And then once we finally got to meet, that's why I was like, we got to meet like the Funk Bros, because like I
You've
love
been
their
my
videos.
guide into that world. You've been the one that's like, this is such and such. I'm like, okay, that's such and such.
I know.
Great.
It's like bringing you, like I would say, it's like bringing your dad, but but it's like bringing like the older brother.
Old age. That was
I know
old
you
age
hate
joke.
it so much.
That was 100% old age joke.
It's like bringing the older brother who has no idea like who anyone is, and you're just like, this is blah blah blah, and they're like, oh cool, and you're like, I'm gonna go sign their face.
Wait, that's like when we were at VidCon and I saw, what was his, Sinbad. I saw that like comedian from like the 80s. Where
who are you talking about?
What are you talking
Who is
Okay,
that?
enough.
Dude.
Anyways,
Exactly, we're like the most millennial people.
Like I legit
have no idea who it
It's
is.
a comedian.
yeah, he's just a comedian. He had his own TV show.
Is he like huge
He's like
for like
the 80s.
40-year-olds?
Oh my god. Yes.
Yes. Okay, wait. Another thing I want Billy to talk about. Billy, can you talk about your living conditions in Utah and like what you did out there? Because like that's like kind of interesting. And then also talk about CVX and how like me and Corey came out.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Wait,
I forgot about
is
that.
your story over?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh,
it's like
so crazy. I can't wait to hear like more of
yeah.
the
I'll
band stories
talk
and
more
stuff.
about it.
Oh my gosh, tune in next week. Kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean how different it was from this living situation?
Well, not necessarily different, but like just explain like
how
what,
random
what
it was.
was your schedule in Utah?
My schedule in Utah literally would get to the point where I would get out of bed probably at like 3 p.m. and then I would just do like Snapchatting. That's how I started with any of that stuff. That's how I got picked up by Red Bull, and that's how everything kind of like started spiraling out of control. But I like moved out there because my old roommate at the time had introduced me to, very similar like Drew to Funk Bro situation. Like this kid introduced me to this guy. His name is Scott DW. He makes these dance battle videos. That's how I worked with like Jade. That's how I worked with like Josh Kalaki. All these different like Glitch, the Ditto, all the most like famous dancers. And I didn't know who any of these people were. All I knew was that my roommate really looked up to this YouTuber, had reached out to him, became his behind-the-scenes filmer, and wanted me to meet his boss. So I went out to Utah, made this guy laugh when he was filming a branded video for Oreos, and his budget was like $60,000 or $70,000.
That is absurd.
I remember we were filming this video. It was with Amy Marie, the Vine dancer girl. Amy Marie, I have a huge crush if you're listening. Anyways, we're doing this Oreos video, and he just starts like roping me into it, has me put on this like morph suit, one of those solid color suits, and like makes a cat dance.
I've always wanted to go in one of those, but I don't think it would fit. Okay, back to your story.
I love how everything goes like
It's like a
those
quick
jokes.
fat plug. He's like, anyways, I just want you guys to know that I'm...
Okay, back to your morph suit.
But no, yeah, he just like kept bringing me into the video, and I saw the scope of the video because it was like a lights, camera, action kind of studio set. There was like all these crew and cameras and director, and like it was insane. So we're doing that, and at one point he just hands me this camera. He's like, "Hey, can you hold this for a second?" And as he's walking away over his shoulder, he's like, "Oh, try not to drop that. It's an $80,000 camera." And I was just like,
Oh
"What?
my gosh.
Where am I?"
It's like holding a baby. You know, you're like, I'm too scared to hold babies sometimes because like I'm scared that I'll be the guy that drops the baby.
Yes.
I'm gonna be the reason they end up like me.
Thank you, Drage.
Drop this baby, and it's gonna.
My
end
hair's
up in
way
a
too
band.
tall for that. So
Baby has the same hair as Drew.
it just came straight out the womb with the hair straight up, hair sprayed and everything.
Please, everyone, go check out Drew's Instagram so that you can know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I love how this is very audio appropriate. It's like, yeah, look over here. I'm looking right at it. Drew's hair. No, so I like on set for this thing, I made him laugh like throughout the day. And at the end of the day, it seemed like he was joking. He's like, "Oh man, you should move out here. Like, you're so funny. Like, I want to use you in all my videos." I was like, "Oh, that's like silly." And then I went back and was like finishing up school at the time. And then I kind of like toyed with the idea and called him up and asked if I could stay at his house for the weekend out in Utah and talk it over. Like, just if he was serious about it. So I went and I like stayed at his house and we talked it over, and he was like, "I don't want to overpromise, but like, you're funny and I'll put you in my videos, and if this is a career that you want, is a good start." Because I was doing stand-up, and I was like, it's either this or I go to LA and like struggle from the bottom doing stand-up and open mics and stuff. So I moved to Utah, didn't really know anybody, barely knew this guy. And like from there, it was like rocky at first. Like I was in these huge videos that were getting like 10, 15, 20 million views. And then there was like 8 months of nothing. So I almost moved back. And then I started booking like these huge commercial roles like Poopery and Purple and like Mobile Strike and all these different commercials, and they kept kind of coming together, and it was like, oh, maybe this is the right way to, because like there's so many different ways to go into the industry, and it just kind of started like popping off.
Can we talk about that real quick? Like the purple thing. I think it's insane. I bet you there's some people that like didn't realize that is you. You're the purple guy. It's the commercial of like that purple mattress, and that guy falls from the ceiling.
Drop.
Yeah, and it's just like trying to smash the egg or something like that.
Yeah, I had seen that so many times.
Even before I met you, I had seen that so many times on like YouTube on like ads.
Yeah.
Never
so
knowing that was
Remember
you.
when we went over to my cousin's house and like I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is the purple mattress guy." Like, and they
was so
flipped
weird.
out. It was so funny. She's like, "I have a purple mattress."
We didn't go to these girls' houses. We went to this girl's mansion. Like, insane house. They had an underground skate park. And then, like,
What?
They flipped out. After we had seen, like, how huge this house was, they flipped out, and, like, my pants disintegrated. I was so nervous.
Can we borrow your house for a
awesome.
weekend? I love that.
If I hid in this house, you honestly would never be able to find me. I'll be your new roommate.
Yeah, and then like so that turned into like that time that me and Corey was like, "Hey Drage, you want to go to CVX with me?" Capron kind of
So
bailed on
random.
me. Or no, Capron I think was going to TwitchCon, and Corey's like,
Yeah,
"You
he's
want to
big
go
into
to
Twitch.
CVX?" And I'm like, "I mean, I'm down, but I don't have money to like pay for like going out there." And they're like, "No problem. Like, Capron already has his ticket. We'll just transfer to your name." I'm like,
That's so cool.
"Okay."
That's baller.
And so like my first ever like paid trip to like go with someone just to hang out. So Corey's like, "Yeah, I have a friend out there that can stay." And like in the back of my mind, I'm like, "Wait, that one night that everyone was drunk and I was like, I'm not driving with anyone. Like, can I drive someone's car?" This guy named Billy said that I could drive his car.
That's when we started talking.
And he
you
told
found out
me
I was living in Utah
That
at
he
the time.
was, he was from Utah. And
That's
where we
I
were
didn't know
going.
that. That's actually really crazy.
That's the like coolest / creepiest thing about Drage is he like legitimately listens. Like if you tell him a story, he'll remember it.
Yeah.
Or he'll
and
just
maybe
do
use it
stuff
against
like
you.
insane.
Like this
For your
one time
benefit.
when earlier in the car, I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking. Not gonna say this.
This
story.
one time 3 years ago.
Wait,
But
yeah.
anyways, I remember that in the back of my head. I'm like, wait, I'm pretty sure that like Billy dude said that he was from Orem, and that's where CVX is, and that's where all my cousins live. And so I was like,
It's like
okay, are
too
we going to
coincidental.
Billy's
It's
house?
crazy.
And he's like, "Oh, you know Billy?" I'm like, "Yeah, I met him with you when." Actually, I met him before you, not to like prove that we're better friends. I met him when we were at VidCon, and so we went and stayed with Billy. Someone's gonna walk in the door, and it's gonna be really funny.
Perfect
right
podcasting.
But-
Oh my gosh. She's
now.
like,
We went to. Who is it?
who is it?
no.
We're on in the
we're
middle
doing
of
a
a podcast.
podcast.
Please, no bad language.
See you later.
We'll talk to you in 5.
Thanks.
I was just gonna have Carly say hi together.
What's up, Carly?
Hey, Carly.
Hi.
Oh my gosh. Hey.
It's
Oh,
all
hey, how are
good.
you
We're just
doing?
in the middle of a podcast. If you want to listen to this story, it's pretty good.
Drage, and obviously Billy.
Awesome.
Hello, everybody.
Later.
Hi.
Hello.
I mean, not later.
We'll see
I
you
meant to
guys
say
soon.
hi.
We'll
But
come
we'll
down
be down
when
in a
we're
second.
Okay, I was like confused on like where everybody was.
Have fun.
So that was Omar / Oliver /
I love how, like,
Honesty.
Ostrich.
It's Optimus Prime. Get it right, all right?
Calm down, Orville Redenbacher.
I love
So
it. Like,
anyways,
this-
that's Oliver. He's just another kid that lives in the house. What were you gonna say?
I think it's like the beauty that like we're doing this in my room right now that anyone will walk in at any time. Like this is like the most like
Raw. I
thing
don't think
ever.
I'm gonna edit this at all because like the flow's been super
Maybe edit
low.
one part of it.
Yeah. So basically, what were we talking about? We were talking about how. Oh yeah. And then I was like, oh, we're staying at Billy's house. Okay, I'm fine with that. We hang out with Billy all weekend. Meet a ton of cool people at the CVX conference, and Billy is talking to us, and we're like, so, when are you planning on moving out to LA? Because like your whole life revolves around LA, but you're not in LA. And at this point, Billy and Drew had both bought one-way tickets to LA multiple times to just come and hang out and like.
that was crazy to me.
weird that we
Like
kept
I've
doing
never
that.
done that in my life. Just
No.
bought a one way. And
It's too
whatever
impulsive.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a one-way like stay for 3 weeks, go home for like month and a half like a normal person. It was like a one-way stay for 3 weeks, go home for like a week, and then come
Yeah,
right
we're
back.
going for just days at a time.
Well, because the FOMO, like that fear, we'd go home and be like, I wonder what they're doing now. Like, we got to get back there as soon as possible.
And this is when like our stuff when like this was the transition from Musical.ly to TikTok and everything was popping off and we were getting all these collabs and everything mixed in with the Funk Bros. So there's just so much going on in Los
it
Angeles
was all down
that
there.
going
though.
home was like we weren't working.
It was
We
like
weren't doing
hurting
anything.
our- yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, hey Billy, so like when
It
are
was
you
so
gonna move
scary.
out?
Yeah, it was so scary to think about like moving out here for some reason. Like it just seemed like a
Yeah.
huge commitment.
I think the biggest thing that was scary was the fact that your room was there's so much stuff in your room.
You're a hoarder,
no,
right?
The height
Like-
of the well, okay,
The
yeah.
room was
the height of
the room was
ceiling,
half this size. We've
Yeah.
been making jokes about stuff this size.
It was a
as the
big
room.
closet, and the roof height was like in maybe an inch above my head.
Yeah,
my
I hit my
gosh.
head on it when I walked in. I can't walk through that door like without hitting my head.
So weird.
So I think that was a big scare. Anyways, we're like, Billy, if you don't move out, or we're like, when are you gonna move out? And he's like, November 1st, I promise. I'm like, if you don't move out by then, do we have your permission to kidnap you?
Which I thought, like, anyone says that to you, that straight up sounds like a joke. So I was like, yeah, of course. Oh, yeah, you can kidnap me, sure.
So the minds that me and Corey have, that's like about a month later, we see Drew and Billy at the ball drop for New Year's.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the New Year's ball
and
drop.
we're like,
Yeah. Well, we
What
went
the
out
heck?
there to watch the ball drop, and, like, that, literally, that's when we figured out that TikTok was, like, blowing up for
Yes.
both Drew and I.
Yeah.
Like, we went out
It
there
was
and-
behind the ball.
Yeah, I made sure to go out there because I was in an ad for TikTok that was on one
Yeah,
of the
you were-
LCD screens right below the ball drop.
Which was
So
insane.
cool.
I remember, okay, so the security guard took us to the front of the ball drop, and as we were walking, you could see Billy on the screen doing like flips and everything.
Like
Like,
20 feet tall. I almost
Insane.
I almost crapped the side note, not related. We were wearing diapers. I almost crapped my diaper.
which was like weirdly comfortable. Like,
Yeah, so low profile. I'm not wearing one right now.
I'm not currently wearing a diaper.
yeah, so you guys were out there and we were back at the house, and this is when I was like basically living at the house. I've been probably living here. Basically living, I mean, like I'm here 5 days a week,
At
and
the
I go
Funk
home.
Bros
Yeah,
house, you're
Yeah.
just coming and staying here a bunch.
yeah, same as I am now. Like
That's
I
so
don't like live here, but I'm here all the time.
You
Anyways,
do live here.
I
Just face it.
Yeah, you live here.
I don't
You
know
brought a
why.
suitcase, Drage.
I know. I don't know why I like remembered like the dumbest details.
So wait,
But-
you came up with this idea you're about to explain when you saw that we were in New York?
Yeah, so I saw you were in New York, and then we're all at Del Taco over by Costco. I don't know why I needed to say that, but we're sitting there, and I'm like, wait, Corey, we should do acting classes. And acting classes reminded me of Billy, which reminded me of you guys all being in New York together, which reminded me of Billy's supposed to be moving out on November 1st, a month ago, which reminded me of, didn't we say we were going to kidnap him? And
What?
then Corey's like, yes, we're going to kidnap him. And I'm like, how do we get a hold of him? And he's like, I don't know. When was the last time you talked to him? I'm like, I don't know, but I'll give him a call right now. Called Billy. He didn't answer. But then he called me back and he's like, what's up, Drage? Like, how are you? I haven't talked to you in a while. I'm like, good. What have you been up to? He's like, I'm just at the ball drop. I'm like, no way. I have no idea. Had 100% a clue that.
Yeah, you always
I
know.
knew where you
That's
were.
so
I knew what
sneaky.
was going on. And then he's like, I am going to be, I'm like, what's your schedule looking like? He's like, I'm going to be home. I get home the 3rd. And then I'm going to be home for 2 weeks. And I have a purple commercial coming up that they're going to get, that they're like figuring out. So I'll have that like a couple weeks. But I'm home the 3rd and I should be free for a while. And I'm like, perfect. Have a good night. And at that
That's
point,
so
like
insane.
that ending note was what sparked everything.
The life changer.
Yeah.
It's a life changer. So next week, you guys, we're gonna tune in. We're gonna tell you guys how we each got moved out here.
I
The
love
crazy
it. Such a good
stories,
cliffhanger.
Yeah.
which is insane. The Drage had so much crazy mindset behind it, from Billy's story to mine. So
we
make
didn't
sure you
even
tune in
start
next
your
week.
story.
oh my gosh, it's absolutely
It's insane.
insane.
Tune in next week, you guys, to listen to what happens. You can follow us on social media at Drage Cameraman, at Billy Man, and
I hate
It's
Judas.
not
At
at
Man
Oh, no, it's
Billy.
at Man Billy. Why do I always get that?
Because-
Thanks for the wrong
Yeah.
plug. Love you all.
It's at Bill.
At Bill.
at space _ B _
Make sure you guys go follow us on Instagram. Comment below some ideas and things you want us to talk about. Anything you want us to go into depth. We will see you guys next time. Woo!
Yeah, and I think we will be recording these on
Actual microphones.
Twitch, actual microphones, not our phones anymore, and we will be posting it on my YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening, and we will see you next week.
Bye.